Hi, this is Alex with Maple Leaf Coffee Roasters in Roselle. I'm here to talk about our February 2026 Club Coffee, a cool double fermented wash process coffee from Colombia. Check it out. So just as a reminder to everyone, the Coffee Club program here at Maple Leaf is something that we do where we bring in a members-only coffee every month, roast it 3 different ways, send out a bunch of notes and information about the coffee, and give our members a chance to choose which of the 3 coffees that they want, and also some influence over some of the coffee decisions that we make for future months. We only sell these coffees to members of the club. Your membership in the club gets you a 12-ounce bag of this coffee every month. If you are interested in joining this club, please feel free to find our contact information on the website or drop into the store anytime and we'll add you to the waitlist. This month we have a fun coffee from Colombia. And just some backstory, we've always had a Colombian coffee here on regular shelves. We use it in one of our 2 of our most popular blends. And Colombian coffees can generally be very easy, predictable, more on the sweeter end of things. Sometimes they'll get a little bit of a fruity. I've had some fun Colombian coffees that have like grapefruit tint to them. So we don't really do a ton of different things with Colombian coffees that we get in. They're mostly used for blends. And whenever I do get a chance to try something a little bit different for our club coffees, it is nice to take something that I have a level of familiarity with that also is a bit different than what we normally see. And this happens to be a wash process coffee. So from that perspective, it's not super out of the ordinary, but it's a double fermented coffee. And unlike the anaerobic fermentation coffee that we had from China a couple months back in 2025, this is a double fermenting process where they do put the coffee, both the coffee wilds and cherries, into fermenting tanks for a certain period of time, process it, and then put it again into another set of fermenting tanks for a shorter amount of time. And what that does is it does derive the coffee of a little bit of, it kind of tones it down a little bit so it's not as sharp or acidic as sometimes coffees can be. Colombian coffees generally don't tend to be on the super acidic side of things, but you can find some that are. And it also turns a coffee into something a bit more exotic, complex, and nuanced. In some ways, a fermentation process like this can sort of give this coffee a sensibility that is similar in some ways to a honey process coffee, where you take something that starts out being really clean and easy, and then you sort of do a little bit of a different processing method to it. And what that does is it layers on some additional flavors and nuances to the coffee that can make it kind of fun. So this month, these 3 coffees are a great choice no matter what level you go with, because I think this is a nice, low acidity, exotic, nuanced cup of coffee that has a couple of distinguishing elements to it in each of the 3 roasts. So let's start out with the light roast coffee. This is a very low acidic coffee. If you are a person that normally steers clear from light roast because you don't like the sharp acidic nature that they can sometimes have, you will feel that this is a really easy stomachable coffee to drink. It has a sweet vanilla, a little bit of like a hazelnut sort of tint to it. Kind of a fun marshmallow tint. In some ways it reminded me of drinking a dark roast Nicaraguan coffee that can sometimes have a vanilla marshmallow texture to it. The taste itself has a kind of subtle fruitiness to it, a little bit of a cherry note, not super strong, a juicy kind of feel to it, almost malty in the light roast, which is interesting. The light roast has not body necessarily, but it has a nice thicker texture that it will coat your mouth quite well, and a tiny bit of a chocolatey note to it, more on the white chocolate end of things. Like I said, this has got a lot of interesting flavors in one single roast level that I think if you normally avoid the light roast because you don't like the sharper acidic tones, this month you'll want to try that one out because it does have a nice complex mix of cool flavors to it that I think will be fun to play with. On the medium roast side of things, this is where we can turn into more of our chocolatey tones as usual, more of a milk chocolate taste in this one. We saw a little bit of a floral note to it, not a strong floral like we see out of some Guatemalan coffees, but it's very subtle, it's at the edges. Tiny bit of like a berry hint. Something we'll see when we get into the dark roast is that it does turn into more of a blackberry kind of smell and flavor in the dark roast, but not too much here. Very subtle creaminess to this too. In some ways I felt at points like this was kind of drinking a cousin of a Mexican coffee. Mexican coffees can generally have a creaminess to them that is quite pleasant, easy on the stomach. And because this is a medium roast, Compared to the light roast, you will get a little bit more of that malty texture that I mentioned in the light roast that is there. The milk chocolate flavor is kind of battles a little bit with some of the white chocolate notes that I saw in this too. And there's a tiny bit of a citrusy note to it. Generally speaking, Colombian coffees do have more of like a lemon lime tint to them sometimes. And this one had a very subtle kind of citrusy note, but overall very soft, very easy to drink, very approachable. If you're a person that normally plays only with the medium roast territory, you'll feel right at home with this coffee. Very easy to drink, very easy to stomach. And that kind of creaminess to it, I think, is quite pleasant too. And it will have a nice kind of richer aftertaste to it as well. Moving on to the dark roast side of things, this is where we see the coffee kind of hit that normal dark roast kind of sensibility. You have the kind of sweeter, richer, still kind of creamy feel to it that we saw in the medium, but you also do get that richer, fuller flavor that you'd expect out of a dark roast. Fun part about some dark roasts, and this one definitely falls into that territory. Though it looks dark and it drinks dark, it definitely has a lot of character, a lot of nuance and flavor to it. A lot of times when you're roasting coffee dark, what you're doing is you're de-emphasizing the flavor of the coffee itself, and you're more emphasizing the roast level. In this coffee, we didn't do a super dark, kind of middle of the road based on my standards for the amount of development time that the coffee had after it went through its first crack. So we didn't do a super roast emphasized kind of roast on this coffee. So you still retain a lot of that like original coffee flavor that we saw in the medium and a little bit in the light. Tiny bit of nuttiness to this guy. It's kind of on the cashew end of things, not strong, but it's there. Sweeter, richer flavor, like I said, kind of a fun maple syrup kind of sensibility to it. I think that paired nicely with the sort of malty texture that we started to see in the medium roast, and had that kind of vanilla texture, vanilla flavor that we normally see in some of the Central American dark roast coffees. Medium body on this one too. It's not a super strong, not a super punchy coffee, both because of the coffee, the processing method itself and the way it was roasted. I think that that contributes to something that is just a nice, richer flavor without being too heavy or too bitter or anything that sometimes dark roast drinkers tend to avoid if they don't want a super dark roast coffee. I think if you normally go for a dark roast, you'll feel fine with this one. If you're a person that normally sticks in the medium to light and you want to sort of change it up a little bit this month, the dark roast will feel really good in your stomach and going down. So you won't really sacrifice much with a dark roast this month in terms of the flavor. It'll still pack a nice collection level of complexity in the flavor without sacrificing too much on any of like the heaviness to it too as a dark roast. So I am looking forward to everyone giving this coffee a shot, getting it in their hands. And if you are interested, like I said, in joining the club, please feel free to reach out to us. We always have a new spot a couple times a year, and we'd be interested in you taking part in the club with us. Until next time, we'll see you back here for another Club Coffee video next month. Take care.